apha ekuqaleni kuyo. Ya, uvele ngapha ekuqaleni. uphakamise nje phezulu. Why this thing ilele? Why ilele? This one is short, this one is long. Where you yeah? This side is short, this side is long. Where you
Which side?
This side is short.
Yeah,
Must pull it down. Hey, that's why I can't get it. Hey.
The thing is, bheka. Imkhathile ke manje. Yabo imic. Ikhathile mic. That's why.
Okay, but this all
Huh?
okay.
Look, check that. We'll rather have, we don't need this bottom. As long as you start the stage going, there's too much showing down.
Yeah.
So we must reduce here.
No, but that side is gonna fall. This thing is gonna fall.
This thing can go like this.
Take up.
No, it can't.
If you want,
It can't.
you can't, huh?
Izame futhi uyithole kancinci ngapha ke. But yabona aqinisanga phaya.
Can this open up?
Yeah, I don't know. We must ask them.
Or sort of our tripod, ne?
Oh, sorry. We want it to rather, you know, it's facing too much down, to rather face.
It can't stand like this.
No.
I throw them. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So.
That's why nigga just like amount, mara. Bafana babala gore ito.
I'll try it.
No, we are late.
Where's the leader?
We are late.
Yeah.
And then bafana bahlaga go fair.
Sure. Are you able to see all the chairs?
Yeah.
No?
I agree.
Sharp. So.
I can put shows on it. You don't mind if
I don't mind.
Okay.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. May we all rise to start our conference with the singing of the national anthem. AU anthem, please. Okay, they were still organizing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. We will have to get used to playing the African Union anthem in all our events, Benjamin. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Northern Cape Renewable Energy Conference 2018 under the theme Driving Economic Growth and Transformation in Northern Cape through Renewable Energy. Before we proceed with our program, we would like to give an indication of our dignitaries who are present here, members of the provincial legislature, members of the Executive Council, and our guests from our neighboring country, from the Karas region. We have our Honorable Premier here today, Mr. Lucas, who shall be introduced officially. We have members of the Executive Council, Mayor Pauline Williams, Mayor Bongwe Mbingo Higaba, MEC Fakalakip van Staden, and MEC Fufe Makato. We have members of the provincial legislature, the chairperson, Comrade Ghost Mabilu. We've got Comrade Marupin Lekwene. We've got Comrade Tiny Chotelo. All of those are members of the provincial legislature of the Northern Cape Province. We welcome them here as well. We've got our friends and comrades from Namibia. Honorable Boyce, who's a member of parliament. His constituency is based in the Karas region as well. The Northern Cape Province, a twinning agreement with the Karas region, and we cooperate very well. We welcome them here. We also have got Comrade Jacobs, who's the SWAPO Youth League Secretary. And we've got the Acting Deputy Director, Meno Chikongo. Most importantly, we also have the hosting district leadership here. We've got the district mayor, executive mayor, Mark Ibi, from the district of Pixley Kaisaka 7. We've got the mayor of the Mtanjeni local municipality, the host municipality, Comrade Sipho Stonga. We have the provincial chair of Salga, executive mayor of Don Talohaltewe, Comrade Sophia Musikatsi, and we've got other executive, a series of mission. Unfortunately, no, she's noted here. Apologies, MEC Bartlett. We've got, we have executive mayors who are present here. David Creeper, executive mayor. We've got the mayor of Trace who's here, and a number of other mayors that we will recognize as we proceed. So we quite have a huge representation of local government in the Northern Cape present here today. We have a Chinese business delegation that we also want to acknowledge. And we have our DDG, Mema Mudiso, who is the acting DDG for clean energy. She's part of the conference, and she'll probably participate as well in our program here today. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you and welcome. As we know that we are a little bit behind schedule, so we will try to proceed to catch up with time. It is now my privilege to preside over this program for the first part of this morning. The remaining part of this morning, I will now take the opportunity to call on our executive mayor, Her Worship Councillor Miriam Kibi, we just call her Ma Kibi, to do the opening and to welcome all of us present here today. Over to you, Executive Mayor Ma Kibi. Can we welcome her with a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen?
Thank you, Program Director. The Premier of the Northern Cape, Mayor Lucas, the members of the Executive Council that are with us here. I can see most of them are women, it's Women's Month. Mayors, speakers and councillors from all municipalities in the province, our colleagues from the neighboring countries, leadership from Salga in the province, the Vice Chancellor of Solplaiki University is here, Director General, heads of department, municipal manager, and other officials present here, ladies and gentlemen, stakeholders. Program Director, before we start with our program today, can I please request all of us to rise and observe a moment of silence in honor of one of our mayors in the district, a young person, a female, a mother, and a sister, the late Councillor Ntombi Amelia Peleta from Ubuntu Local Municipality, who passed on Monday morning. We were shocked after being informed of her untimely death, as she and the Municipal Council of Ubuntu Local Municipality were on their way to change the fortunes of the Ubuntu Local Municipality. Can we rise? I thank you. Program Director, we are also meeting during a time when we mourn the death of Mamu Zwendeni Veronica Sobukwe. She contributed immensely to the liberation and freedom of the oppressed masses of our country. Both these were females passed on during August, a month during which we pay tribute to the contributions made by the fearless women of this country in the liberation of our people. Program Director, we are also celebrating the life of the late Mr. Kofi Annan, the first African to be the Secretary General of the United Nations. We are very proud as Africans to have had one of us leading the United Nations for 2 terms. He proved through his dedication and commitment that Africans are equally capable of providing honest and ethical leadership and to manage the affairs of the world. We are also meeting during the centenary of both Madiba and Masisulu. They would have turned 100 years old during this year had they still be alive. We must, as a government and a people, ensure that we change the lives of our people for the better as part of the recognition of the contribution of these stalwarts of the struggle for the emancipation of our people. Program Director, let me take this opportunity to welcome all of you to the district of Pixlika-Sele Kaisa. We welcome to a district filled with warmth and lot of economic potential, a district that is open for business, a district that is alive with possibilities. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to extend warm greetings, especially to our the elders, particularly those who are visiting Pixlika-Sele district for the first time. I hope that you are going to make sure you get into the town, you invest in this town. Program Director, Chapter 4 of the National Development Plan commits the country to the following goals for the energy sector in South Africa. The plan envisages that by 2030, South Africa will have an energy sector that promotes economic growth and development through adequate investment in energy infrastructure. The sector should provide reliable and efficient energy services at competitive rates, while supporting economic growth through job creation, social equity through expanded access to energy at affordable tariffs, and through targeted sustainable subsidies for needy households. Convening this renewable energy conference is therefore an attempt to grapple with the above-mentioned commitment entrusted unto the people of the country. Events such as these must leave a footprint in the district and province and change the lives of the people for the better. Whilst we have achieved a lot since the democratic breakthrough of 27 April 1994, a lot still needs to be done to not just change the lives of the poor, but to create an environment in which the poor can be active participants in the development of their country. We must utilize renewable energy for the development of our communities to improve their social well-being and to contribute for the communities in which the IPPs are operating. Program Director, renewable energy projects have been distributed across all the provinces in the country, but the Northern Cape have been allocated the lion's share of these projects. This therefore makes our province the next exporter of electricity to the rest of the country. We must use this rare opportunity bestowed upon the province to radically change the socio-economic landscape of the province. We cannot forever display the tag of a province with a high unemployment rate, coupled with high levels and underdevelopment. Program Director, we used to export the most available diamonds in the country, but that did not contribute towards the upliftment of our people. We are currently also exporting manganese to international markets. Our new status as the country's renewable energy hub must be used to meaningfully change the lives of our people. Let us, government and business, be deliberate in our decision-making over the next, create meaningful and sustainable jobs, and to improve the living conditions of our people. Program Director, we must also set as part of the objectives of this conference the following aims: the increase of the local content during the construction phase of our projects, to increase the local procurement spent during the life span of our projects, to increase local enterprise and SMME development, to increase the role to be played by local government in the province in the energy sector, to improve the involvement of local communities in the development of their areas, how to address the impasse between ESCOM and some of the local municipalities in the district and in the province. Program Director, this Renewable Energy Conference must not be just another platform where we talk and exchange business cards without it being a real catalyst for the development of our province and district. The declaration from this conference must serve as a war cry in the fight against poverty, unemployment, and underdevelopment. It must serve as a blueprint for a better Northern Cape and all its 5 districts. Let me therefore welcome you all to enjoy the hospitality of our district and main town, De Aar. Please enjoy the next 2 days in the heart of the Karoo, that is your De Aar area. Please support the local economy so that when you get out of here, the lives of the people of this district cannot be the same. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, the Mayor of the district. Ladies and gentlemen, it's also important for you to know that this important conference is being broadcasted live on all our radio community radios, FM in De Aar, here in De Aar, Radio Riverside in Uppington, RTS FM in Kimberley, Uvara FM in Kuruman, Radio Kapusna in Calvinia, and Radio NFM Springbok, as well as Revival FM in Kimberley. May we also acknowledge the presence of the following people and institutions. We've got our acting DG, Mayor Gugu Makaopane. We've got heads of departments of provincial government who are present here. We have the head of the Solplaik University, Professor Balim. We've got the IDC present here, Central Energy Fund, ESCOM, as well as other state-owned enterprises, including the Northern Cape Economic Development Agency. We also have the mayor, and as we've indicated, as more of our dignitaries arrive, we will acknowledge them. We have the mayor of Jomorolo present here today as well, Medineo Lukwete, and we've got the regional leadership of the African National Congress and the South African Communist Party and the Broad Alliance. We've got the regional secretary here, Comrade Katasile Tolong, and the district secretary, Comrade Sivuile Ntameto. These are some of the guests we have here today. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as we've indicated, for me is just to ensure that the program runs smoothly and reduce any comments that are unwarranted. The people who will be addressing the conference are here and they will do exactly that. May I take this opportunity to call on the MEC for Social Development, the Honorable Father Keith van Staden, to provide us with the objectives and expected outcomes of the Northern Cape Renewable Energy Conference. May we put our hands together as we welcome and receive Father Keith van Staden.
Program Director, Honorable Premier Sylvia Lucas, the MECs, members of the Executive Council present here, our members of the Provincial Legislature, our mayors and councillors, business representatives and organized business in the Northern Cape, women in energy, our speakers, invited guests and panel leaders, members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Dumelang, goeiemorgen. It is a great honor for me to stand in for the NEC of Economic Development, NEC McJack, who is not well. And our prayers are with him as we converge here, and we wish him a speedy recovery. This is a very great occasion for us in the Northern Cape. As a province, we have long appreciated the fact that the energy sector has an enormous potential to contribute to growth stimulus that our country desperately needs. Economic growth through reindustrialization, skills development, and the creation of empowered communities can all be enabled by the energy sector. Over the recent period, the global community reached two milestone commitments towards broad-based transformation of the world's energy systems and building a more prosperous, healthier, cleaner, and safer world for future generations. The Renewable Energy Independent Power Producer Procurement Program has become one of the world's most progressive and successful alternative energy programs, a fact recognized globally. And this is good news for us as a province, as the seat and the home of most of the country's IPPs. The current renewable energy operational portfolio is contributing an increasing percentage of the buffer between the available supply and the projected demand for electricity. In the main, as the provincial government, we also appreciate that the primary role of the Department of Energy is to formulate energy policies, to regulate frameworks and legislation, and oversee their implementation to ensure energy security and promotion. Our collective mandate is to ensure that each home, each child has access to electricity as a basic right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are guided by the White Paper on Renewable Energy. The White Paper on Renewable Energy of 2003 is one of the policy documents that laid the foundation for the promotion of renewable energy technologies such as solar, hydro, biomass, and wind. Through this policy document, a 10-year target of how renewable energy technologies could diversify the country's energy mix and secure cleaner energy was set. The objectives of the White Paper on Renewable Energy of 2003 were to ensure, amongst others, that an equitable number of national resources were invested in renewable technologies, that direct public resources to implementation of renewable energy technologies are made available, to create an investment climate for the development of the renewable energy sector. The vision of South Africa's energy strategy is to contribute towards affordable energy for all and to minimize the negative effects of energy usage on human health and the environment, especially in recognition to the Paris Agreement aimed at reducing carbon emission. The Northern Cape occupies a central position in the global debate regarding the renewable energy contribution within South Africa. The province is regarded as home to sustainable private investment in renewable energy, and to date is the host to 59 of the country's 112 independent power producers, with more than 19 projects already connected to the grid at a capacity of 900 megawatts. The signing of 27 IPP power purchase agreements for bid window 3 and 5 and window 4 in April this year, with a combined investment value of 56 billion and a capacity of 2,300 megawatts. 15 of the recently signed of the IPPs are in the Northern Cape. The Northern Cape aims to become the net exporter of green energy by 2020 and achieve an overall energy saving of 24% by 2030. However, the province is faced with various challenges which need to be addressed. Amongst them, the lack of business skills on funding to ensure that the majority of the originally equipped manufacturers are located within South Africa and within the province. Some of the key issues affecting our province renewable energy sector, to name but a few, is the affordability of electricity and energy in general, skill shortage among local businesses to take up opportunities, lack of transparency coming from local renewable energy project developers, exclusion of and poor communication with communities, concerns of land degradation and habitat loss resulting from utility-scale solar facilities, local government lacking the capacity and skills, weak enforcement measures and compliance, reliability of supply, to name but a few. The National Development Plan has elevated the role of energy in the country's economic growth and development. This role, economic growth and development, social equity through expanded access to energy services, and environmental sustainability through efforts to reduce pollution and mitigate the effects of climate change. In realizing this vision, South Africa's energy initiatives are supported by effective policies, institutions, governance systems, regulations, and competitive markets. Following the cabinet decision, the department is steadily working towards concluding the review of the IRP. Finalization can be seen in the recent signing of the 27 independent power producer power purchase agreements in April 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, we fully understand and appreciate that the broader concept of radical socio-economic transformation requires adequate and pragmatic reflection on broader micro and macroeconomic complexities. But we are also mindful that our people are hungry for opportunities and real and meaningful economic empowerment. It is the responsibility of government to ensure that radical economic transformation does not become a slogan, but a reality. Government needs to ensure that transformation happens in the energy sector, as well as ownership patterns reflect the demographics of the country. In this way, government will ensure that the future of our people is secured. The systematic marginalization of the majority of South Africans, facilitated by exclusionary policies of the apartheid regime, prevented black people from owning the means of production and from meaningful participation in the mainstream economy. To redress these historic inequalities and thus give effect to the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, the democratic government-enabled broad-based black economic empowerment should be realized. Through this platform and the deliberations of the conference, government will have to ensure the following, amongst others: ensure a noticeable improvement in levels of compliance with the BBBEE in the energy sector, as this industry is not fully transformed. Notwithstanding a paucity of companies that have fully embraced the requirements of IPP licenses, but monitor those that comply only for the sake of the social license to operate, rather than carrying the interests of the communities at heart. To ensure significant improvement in the living conditions of communities living in areas where these IPPs are located. a meaningful improvement in the empowerment ownership in terms of meaningful economic participation of Black persons, the flow of benefits that ought not to come only to service any debt funding, but also include cash flow directly to BEE partners. To seek ways of unlocking economic empowerment as the community's interests are always held in trust, which constrain the flow of benefits to intended beneficiaries, to name but a few. It is against this backdrop that the province proposes a renewable energy charter, a renewable energy.
MEC Father Keith van Staden for outlining the objectives and the expected outcomes. Before we call on the next speaker, we just want to also indicate the presence of the Honorable Member of the Northern Cape Provincial Legislature, Sandra Bucas, who has joined us in this gathering here today. We also want to acknowledge some of the other state-owned enterprises that are here that we might not have mentioned before, and so that I don't think that we only recognize some and not the others. We have CIFA present here, the NEF, the PIC, as well as Small Enterprise Development Agency, SEDA. And we also have municipal managers and senior municipal officials here. We've got councillors and speakers of municipalities across the province. And may I also indicate that we've got a representative from the TTI, who's the Chief Director for Green Industries, Garrett Fori, who will also have an opportunity to address the conference. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we will call upon Mayor Mokhadi Modise, who is the DDG for Clean Energy, the Department of Energy. She's from the Department of Energy, and she's gonna give us a presentation on an integrated radical to renewable energy policy implementation. May we put our hands together as we welcome her to come and make the presentation. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. Program Director, Honorable Premier Lucas, Executive Mayor, Councillor Magibi, and other mayors and present, MECs also, senior government officials, invited speakers, delegates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good day once again. Let me first take this opportunity to convey apologies for the Minister of Energy, Honorable Mr. Jeff Hadebe, who couldn't be with us today due to other pressing work commitments. I'm standing in for him to deliver the speech on his behalf, not necessarily doing a presentation as others may think I would be getting into the PowerPoint presentation, so to say. It is indeed a great pleasure and honor for me to address you today at this important and strategic conference that focuses on renewable energy. The year 2018 marks 100 years since the birth of two of our icons and heroes of our revolution who dedicated their lives in the struggle for freedom and immensely to the birth of a new South African nation. We celebrate the birth of the founding father of our democracy, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, under the theme Be Legacy, as well as Mama Albertina Nontsikelelo Sisulu, one of the shining examples of our struggle, who dedicated her life to the service of her people under the theme Attitude. As this year marks the centenary of Masisulu, it provides all of us an opportunity to pay tribute to and draw inspiration from her courage, fortitude, selflessness, and dedication. In addition, we also remember other heroines, past, present, and reclaim women's struggle heritage and women's space in our history. As to those that have modern energy, it unlocks access to improved healthcare, improved education, a catalyst to other basic services, and improved economic opportunities and longer life. To those that do not have modern energy services, it is a major constraint to their social and economic development, and women bear the brand of energy poverty as they strive to support their families. In Africa, nearly 60% of people have no access to reliable electricity. To put these numbers in perspective, the entire continent of Africa has about 150 gigawatts of installed power generating capacity, uses about 3% of the world's electricity, and thus Africa, 16% of global population live without electricity in 2014. The report of the United Nations Secretary General on progress towards sustainable development goals also states that globally, 85.3% of the population had access in electricity in 2014, an increase of only 0.3 percentage points since 2012. That means that 1.06 billion people, predominantly rural dwellers, still function without electricity. Half of those people live in sub-Saharan Africa. Access to clean fuels, technologies for cooking climbed to 57.4% in 2014, up slightly from 56.5% in 2012. More than 3 billion people, the majority of them in Asia and sub-Saharan Africa, are still cooking without clean fuels and more efficient technologies. And this room should be worried about these stats, as we have a duty to improve the lives of those who are affected. Distinguished guests, the share of renewable energy in final energy consumption grew modestly from 2012 to 2014, from 17.9% to 18.3%. Most of the increase was from renewable energy from water, solar, and wind power. Solar and wind power still make a relatively minor share of energy consumption despite their rapid growth in recent years. The challenge is to increase the share of renewable energy in the heat and transport sectors, which together account for 80% of global energy consumption. From 2012 to 2014, 3/4 of the world's 20 largest energy consuming countries had reduced their energy intensity. The ratio of energy used per unit of GDP. The reduction was driven mainly by greater efficiencies in the industry and transport sectors. However, that progress is still not sufficient to meet the target of doubling global rate of improvement in energy efficiency. Renewable energy sources not only contribute to the diversification and energy supply security, but also assist our government to widen access to modern energy services, while also contributing to sustainable development through their negligible carbon footprint. It must be emphasized that we also promote renewable energy sources for their role in reducing greenhouse gas emissions, which emanate mainly from the predominant use of coal in our energy supply mix. You may be aware that in 1994, the country's access to electricity was at 36%. As a result, the new administration then committed to ensure universal access by 2014. However, due to various reasons, that target could not be met, which in the main was affected by the following, among others. And I guess the points that I would be raising with you would not be disputed, as they are hard facts. Population growth, as we had to cater for infills and extensions, particularly on new developments and informal settlements. Inclusion of farm dwellers' houses who are historically not electrified. Historical backdrop resulted from the country's spatial planning and development, lack of bulk infrastructure upgrading, maintenance or refurbishment to align it with population growth. The list is exhaustive. This proves the critical role that integrated planning plays in our infrastructure projects. Program Director, the SADC energy ministers endorsed the importance of gender equality in the energy sector, which is informed by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 5, which states that there is a need to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Again, the SADC energy ministers approved the full and effective participation and equal opportunities for women and youth in all energy programs and projects in the region. While we ensure affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy for all, as informed by the UN SDG 7, equally so, we have to drive across SDG 5 without bias and many other SDGs which cut across. Energy security is one of the most important preoccupations of many governments around the world, including our own, since energy is central to economic growth and development and the general well-being of citizens. It is important also to provide this progress today that the department has concluded further consultations and the revision of the integrated resource plan as committed at the time when the minister assumed his tenure as the Minister of Energy early in 2018, that the plan will be submitted for cabinet consideration by mid-August. And I can report that the draft IRP was presented to cabinet yesterday and approved for gazetting and further consultation. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is an opportunity that we have all been waiting for further consultation. You are urged to take a moment and go through the document and provide input, because you would be crafting the future for the next 20 years. This is the long-term plan for the electricity, a plan for the country. While we all recognize the need to explore the use of advanced, non-polluting, more efficient, affordable and cost-effective energy technologies to meet the rising local and global demand for energy, particularly in developing countries, including our own South Africa, a number of renewable energy sources and technologies are available in the country, but most still need to be developed to their full potential. Given our endowment with solar resources, we have committed to ensure that solar energy contributes significantly to the energy supply mix. True to this commitment, from all the bid windows, a total of 2,922 megawatts procured from solar PV and CSP plants comes only second to wind. Let me also shift to another program which has economic importance in the country, National Solar Water Heater Program. Distinguished guests, our experience and lessons learned from the rollout of Solar Water Heater Program since inception in 2009-10 financial year, especially on dysfunctional geysers following installation to date, we concur with Irene that quality infrastructure for renewable energy technologies, particularly on solar water heater, quality assurance has proven to be indispensable for establishing an enabling environment for a rapid uptake of renewable energy technologies that consist of standards which are intended to ensure that products and services perform as expected, as well as mechanisms to verify that such requirements are fulfilled, especially the testing and certification. It is indeed true that quality assurance builds credibility necessary for the creation of healthy, efficient, rapidly growing technology markets, ensures that expectations from investors and end users for technology performance, durability, and safety are met. It is also evident that quality infrastructure requires development of testing laboratories and certification bodies, along with supporting organizations for accreditation, inspection, installer training, and standards development. Since inception, the South African government has been appropriating annual solar water heater grant funding in order to achieve several competing objectives, such as reducing electricity demand by diverting city away from electric users, shielding the poor from escalating electricity bills, addressing climate change impacts, help government achieve other socio-economic imperatives such as job creation and widening access to white water. In 2011, in the spirit of Preferential Procurement Policy Framework Act and other institutional arrangement tools such as the Green Economy and Local Procurement Accords, government led by the Economic Development Department with its social partners agreed to work together in advancing various commitments that will grow the economy. Specifically in the renewable energy sector, a lot has been done, although not yet sufficient. With regards to both the Green Economy Accord and Local Procurement Accord, some of the key elements as outlined in the commitments made are now tangible milestones. And as such, we need to reflect on the actual performance and deliberate further in effort to enhance delivery in those areas. To this end, working together with other key departments such as trade and industry, we would like to appreciate the support received from the DTI in enhancing our work so that we can contribute meaningfully to the country's economic growth in our efforts to facilitate the creation of a robust local manufacturing industry with higher levels of local production and content, as designated and further enforced through National Treasury published designation notes. To ensure that we achieve most of the commitments and also address some past weaknesses, in 2015, the Department of Energy had to revise the solar water heater implementation model based on the lessons learned and also in consideration from which the capacity of local manufacturers had to be tested as per the designation notes. The establishment of measurement and verification of local content had to be done among others. To date, as a country, we can confirm that there is local manufacturing capacity in this specific area, and we can look forward to a seamless infrastructure rollout in this regard. About 87,000 systems have been procured by the department for implementation under the social component of this solar water heater program. The department plans to install that in the current financial year in 19 municipalities during 18-19 financial year. Of the 19 municipalities, 2 are from the Northern Cape Province, being Solplaki local municipality with an allocation of 6,000 solar geysers, and Mtangeni local municipality with 4,000 allocated units respectively. And the entire quantity is locally manufactured and verified by the South African Bureau of Standards. Program Director, the department has committed to work very closely with participating municipalities through the signing of framework agreements during the implementation of the program. These will include prior installation activities such as social facilitation and technical feasibility assessment, so as to ensure that this phase of the program becomes a success, and then some of the technical challenges experienced before at Solplaki in particular that led to dysfunctional geysers are averted. Ladies and gentlemen, 247 megawatts potential for new small-scale hydro development is believed to exist in South Africa in the form of embedded water transfer and gravity-fed systems throughout the country. Of the country's estimated potential, South Africa only has installed capacity of 38 megawatts. So that shows that potential still exists and we need to explore it. We appreciate the Department of Water and Sanitation efforts in advancing the country's policy on hydropower, whilst recognizes the global shift towards renewable energy technologies, resource utilization and efficiency, and seeks to make it easier for small-scale hydro projects to be developed. The REAP project program has already seen successes in relation to the latter, with 14 megawatts procured from small hydro power installations. In November 2015, the Department of Water and Sanitation gazetted a draft pricing strategy that seeks to facilitate reforms in the sector as well, to provide transparency and predictability to water users on how water will be priced. It is comforting that the strategy redefined water use categories, recognizing renewable energy production from hydropower as a non-consumptive use, and further acknowledges the importance of supporting the viability of hydropower schemes as part of the diversification of the energy mix. This again further affirms the level of integrated planning we need as a country to reduce implementation hindrances. With respect to the South African Wind Energy Program, let me also thank our international partners for their contribution towards some of our projects through the support of Global Environmental Facility and UNDP to implement the second phase of South African Wind Energy Program. The phase 1 started in 2009, which played a pivotal role in supporting the growth of what was then a fledgling industry. The SAWEP 2 in particular has 4 major components: optimization and improvement of local content targets in wind energy procurement mechanisms, wind resource mapping and wind corridor development support for policymakers, support for development of the small-scale wind energy sector, and training and human capital. Distinguished guests, allow me to reflect mainly on the wind resource mapping work done under this program. Due to the level of skills and multidisciplinary teams required in areas like this, the Danish government complemented what we commonly refer to as WASA, the Wind Atlas of South Africa project, which included parts of Northern Cape. When SAWEP 2 started in 2013, it sought to extend WASA to the rest of the Northern Cape province, in addition to KwaZulu-Natal province, Free State province, and the remaining parts of Eastern Cape. WASA will give us a good indication of the potential of the wind resource in the country, from which 70% of the country would be covered. It is in this context that both solar and wind should be explored holistically, and not take the biasness towards solar, because the potential does exist in this province. And in conclusion, I would like to wish that these deliberations can find better solutions to take South Africa's renewable energy forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mema Mudize. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope we are still all awake and attendance. I think the program is a bit hectic. We're trying to catch up for time. We will now call on the Premier to come and address this conference. The Premier is born and bred in Uppington, where the sun shines the brightest in the province. She has undertaken a number of leadership roles in the governing party, the African National Congress, and its Women's League. She has served both the ANC and the Women's League from branch level up to provincial level. She's been a former branch chair of the Women's League, as well as former provincial chair, first woman chairperson of the ANC in the region, the Sianda region, which is now the ZF Ngao region. She's also a former deputy provincial chairperson of the ANC Women's League, a member of the PEC and PwC of the ANC, and former provincial treasurer of the African National Congress. And in our last year Nasrec conference of the ANC, she was elected to serve in the NEC of the ANC, currently deployed in the Northwest region as an Northwest Province as an NEC member. She's a mother, she's a wife to Job. She's also a grandmother to Tando and others. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together and receive the keynote address from our Premier Mayor, Sylvia Lucas.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think you've got enough keynote addresses now so far, because every address was a keynote address. So this is just one of the addresses, but we want to bring in a little bit of a Northern Cape perspective. Program Director, MEC Norman Shushu, the members of Executive Council present here, you have been introduced. Members of Provincial Legislature, welcome back from Botswana. We want the report because you are not inviting us to CWP, so we want the report. The councillors from Karas region, particularly the delegation of Mr. Boyce. David Boyce, they wrote John Boyce here in my speech, but I know your name is David Ne. And the mayors present here, executive mayors, particularly the mayor of Place. It's my constituency, I must mention you, I didn't hear the mentioning you. And the councillors present here, the partners in the energy sector, senior government officials, those from national as well as provincial, as well as municipal officials, members of the academia. Prof, that will be you now. The NGO sector, our labor federations, the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I've done my protocol. For that, you must give me a very nice round of applause. Thank you very much. I think if sometimes when we are speaking in front here, it seems as if we don't listen to one another. But I've listened very well, and I've heard that even the fact that we wanted to give recognition to the fact that we've got the centenary celebration of our icons. We also want to remember Mama Zondeki Zobukwe. Zobukwe has got a history in the Northern Cape, particularly the fact that the husband, when he was banished, he stayed in Kimberley. Through MEC Arts and Culture, that is was now your interest. So let me not bore you by repeating what other people have said. But let me continue in saying that all of us, as we sit here, what brought us here is the acknowledgement that renewable energy is the future, and that we are trying to get a glimpse into the countless possibilities that it holds for this province and its people. We will be deliberating over the next 2 days on pertinent issues regarding the repositioning of the province to support the renewable energy sector. Not only do we wish to support this sector, but we are here to tap into and to draw benefit from the endless possibilities that it holds for the economic development of the province. The people of the province, from a variety of sectors such as government, private sector, NGOs and labor sectors, are in agreement about the need for an inclusive energy sector and for a partnership to deal with the triple challenges of unemployment, poverty and inequality, whilst accelerating a rapid economic transformation in this province. Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently developing a provincial growth and development plan, our Vision 2040, and reviewing the provincial spatial development framework, which will plot the path to changing the energy landscape of the Northern Cape. The provincial growth and development plan, our Vision 2040 and the PSDF will also provide a developmental agenda based on 4 paths of prosperity, namely economic, social, environmental and governance. These are founded within an ethos of sustainable development. I think there was a lot said about sustainable development. So this social pact that is therefore required to create a prosperous energy sector in the province through a negotiated resolution where the private sector commits to investing in new areas, where labor and business work together with government to address the inhibiting factors and identifying opportunities, and developing partnerships with civil society to ensure that our people benefit from the natural resources of this beautiful province. I think someone spoke about our diamonds. Now, many people are saying, where are the diamonds? We are sitting with a big hole as a testimony to the fact that once we had an abundance of diamonds and still have, but let me not go there. 4 accords emanating from the new growth path have already been signed on basic education, skills development, local procurement, and the green economy, which can serve as a guide in creating a provincial green economy accord, which would encompass the proposed initiative of an energy transformation charter. Father Gibbs spoke about the provincial charter. We have got a provincial charter on different issues, and I think it is just befitting that we must also have a green energy or a renewable energy transformation charter. There are 3 main elements I would like to highlight today, namely sustainable development, economic transformation, and green governance. Sustainable development, globally climate change poses for developing poses new challenges for developing countries with respect to growth and poverty reduction. Future growth will need to be more carbon efficient and environmentally sustainable. Greater global understanding on the relationship between growth, environmental change, and poverty reduction would support the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals and help developing countries in achieving sustainable growth. The United Nations General Assembly has designated the years 2014 to 2024 is the International Decade of Sustainable Energy for All. In this regard, the United Nations identifies the Sustainable Energy for All initiative as a multi-stakeholder partnership between governments, the private sector, and civil society. It has 3 interlinked objectives to be achieved by 2030, namely, to ensure universal access to modern energy services, double the global rate of improvement in energy efficiency, and double the share of renewable energy in the global energy mix. Africa's Agenda 2063 is aligned to the global energy and sustainable developmental agendas, which states that ensuring access, and I quote, ensuring access to clean and affordable energy is a development imperative, close quote. The current energy demand within the African continent is undeniable, with more than 645 million Africans not having access to energy. And I think the percentages was mentioned by the previous speaker, and we are just giving a figure that we got from some information. The Renewable Energy Program is therefore confirming South Africa's commitment, together with 195 other countries around the world, to the Paris Agreement for the reduction of carbon dioxide emissions worldwide. It also makes us part of the ever and fast-changing global world of a renewable energy industry. The province needs to invest in the climate change mitigation and water smart programs. The additional 27 renewable energy projects announced in April 2018 are expected to offset 8.1 million tons of CO2 per annum. The devastating impact of the current drought, specifically in the province over the last few years, have highlighted the impact of climate change and water security, amongst other things. It should be noted that energy is one of the biggest consumers of water. Our people deserve access to clean, affordable electricity, which would not have a negative impact on the environment and their health. Renewable energy is an energy form that is a flux in the form of social radiation which is unstored. In order to make use of this form of energy, it must be caught as it passes and is captured, say, in the form of biofuels, wind, photovoltaic, and hydro. Uncaught renewable energy passes into the void, forever lost to anthropogenic use. There are tremendous opportunities for the Northern Cape within the energy sector, where there is immense potential, both in terms of supply and demand for solar, hydropower generation, and biomass. Ladies and gentlemen, the global debate on alternative energy sources gained prominence coincidentally at the same time as the global shock over an unprecedented oil price rise, causing a growing international financial crisis. As a consequence, a sense of urgency is the growing debate, not just in South Africa on the future of the energy sector, the potential of renewables, especially highly controversial biofuels, and the implementation and adequacy of climate change accord. South Africa is therefore required to adapt to challenges of climate change. However, the challenge is to transform these threats into opportunities for economic development, job creation, and environmental justice in our path to a developmental state. This requires strong leadership and bold and decisive decision making so that we can simultaneously circumvent the risks and grasp the opportunities of this global transition to a post-carbon world. To a post-carbon world, Brian Fisher. What is clear is that we need to change the energy landscape in our province to provide for both economic transformation and an environmentally just society. The country's developmental reform has come a long way since the dawn of democracy, the most notable aspect of which is the introduction of green economy principles into the developmental trajectory. Support from the global community in general and the United Nations in particular significantly contributed to this evolution. In mid-2014, the United Nations Development Programme joined the UN-led Global Initiative on Partnership for Action on the Green Economy that was taken up in South Africa in March 2015. It involves the cooperation of 5 UN agencies and spheres of national government. Our country has sought to promote a diverse and equitable economy in line with the UN's green economy definition of an economy that results in improved human well-being and social equity while significantly reducing environmental risk and ecological scarcities. The green economy is low carbon, resource efficient, and socially inclusive. These green economy principles encapsulate the notion of sustainable development, which seeks to balance economic, social, and environmental imperatives. As a province, we therefore support the Minister of Energy's initiative to transform the energy sector through a transformation charter or a court. The youth, women, and the disabled need to be empowered to participate in the green economy. On the 2nd of April this year, we witnessed the signing of the agreements for the 27 projects procured under the Renewable Energy Independent Power Producer Procurement Program, BID Windows 3.5 and 4. This procurement represents a total of 56 billion rand of investment and about 2,300 megawatts of generation capacity to be added to the grid over the next 5 years. Our province is a recipient of the majority of these projects, which include investment in 50 new wind, solar PV and CSP projects in the province. With the procurement of the 27 projects, 58,000 new jobs will be created for South African citizens and mostly for young people. The jobs will be available across the entire value chain, with an additional 1,500 jobs possible in the manufacturing sector. The manufacturing sector, as promoted by the NDP, is both good for jobs and good for economic growth. The localization potential of these 27 new projects is substantial. Our estimate is that for the solar PV projects, around 2.8 million solar PV modules would be procured, 600 inverters, and 385 transformers. In addition, for the onshore wind projects, roughly 500 wind towers and turbines would be required. These projects will also deliver substantial benefits with regards to meaningful black ownership and participation at all the levels of the projects, as well as other priority areas of economic transformation. In BID Windows 3.5 and 4, South Africans own a majority share of 57.8% in the project companies. Of the 57.8% South African shareholders, average of 2% is held by black shareholders. The balance of shareholders is mostly with institutional investors such as the PIC and Old Mutual as well as state-owned companies. Ownership without getting the necessary opportunity to develop skills and participate in the projects is of no value. We would like to see South African black IPPs very soon bidding in other countries, leading the teams developing these projects. The program committed to employ 86% of black South Africans in top management positions. Furthermore, as part of the obligations, the BID Window 3.5 and 4 projects have made commitments in 5 categories, namely education and skills development, social welfare, healthcare, general administration, and enterprise development. The majority of socio-economic development money will be spent in local communities and will involve youth and women-owned small businesses. We welcome our Energy Minister, Mr. Jeff Kadebe's inclusive geographic approach to transforming the energy sector and the announcement that local community shareholding in the newly signed projects amounts to 7.1% or a value of 1.63 billion. The local community shareholders thus receive 5.9 billion net income over the next 20 years. That is during the project lifespan. Our communities need to benefit from the IPP's contribution of 9.8 billion to socio-economic development initiative and 3.39 billion to enterprise development over the next 20 years. We are speaking about the Northern Cape. We need to focus our discussions here today on additional interventions that we can recommend to optimize black ownership and ensure active participation in the energy sector. The youth, the women, and the physically challenged should be prioritized in this regard. We need to find innovative and affordable funding mechanisms to facilitate the participation of black SMEs and black industrialists in the energy sector. This includes the drafting of a funding model to benefit the historically disadvantaged groups within the energy space. We also need to acknowledge initiatives that have been taken to involve the communities in the energy sector. Let me cite a few examples. The green economy deals with the important issue of greening a country's economy and provides guidance and support to SMEs that wish to create green jobs and switch to green technologies. Key areas of priority include BBBE, e-participation, job opportunities, skills development and training, technological transfer, development of new manufacturing plants and facilities, and sourcing locally manufactured components. The Integrated Energy Center program has delivered a total of 7 IECs located in the rural parts of South Africa that include John Talo Haitsimi District, and further collaboration is ongoing to establish more. An Integrated Energy Center is a one-stop energy shop owned and operated by the community cooperative and organized as a community project. It provides energy solutions to communities, access to affordable, safe and sustainable energy services, information and awareness on how to handle and utilize energy sources, including paraffin and LP gas. In addition, the IECs promote the development of SMEs through partnerships. Another example of the benefits of technological innovation for community development in the province is the project of Professor Ernest Huken and his team from the Cape Technikon, who have developed a world first, a battery